Hello, everyone. Today we are going to talk about an issue in family law: what to do when your spouse says they want a divorce. My name is Raluca. I provide family law, estate planning, and immigration services to my clients. Nina Clear, my marketing and office manager, is here with me. Thank you for all your likes, shares, and comments as they help others to see our videos.
The first thing we want everyone to know is that this information is for Georgia only. So while most of what we share is very broad and can probably be applied across the U.S., this is all based on Georgia law.
That's right.
So is there one thing people should do when their spouse says, I want a divorce?
The first thing I recommend to all my clients is that they start gathering documentation.
About what?
One of the most important aspects of divorce is finances. So if you can download and or print out as long of a history as you can on your credit cards, please do it. Make sure you have all joint account information as well. Anything that is regarding finances, I would have copies of such as retirement accounts, loans, deeds, and as I said before, the bank statements from all your accounts.
When you say copies, where should they keep that copy?
If you have many copies right now are electronic, right? So you can keep them in a folder or on memory stick or however you think you can have it safe. If you have them in paper print, if you have a trusted friend, you can keep it with them or get a safety deposit box or even a safe that no one else can access if you have to keep them in your home.
And if you do keep it on your computer, make sure it's a computer that your spouse
doesn't have
access to.
Yes.
So the big thing is keeping this safe. This is your information, that you want to have.
Yes,
no
because
one's
you
take away
need
or
them.
alter. Right?
Yes, exactly.
And talking about banks, do you think that the person, if your spouse says they want a divorce, do you think they should get their own account?
Yes, I do recommend that. If you have a joint account with your paycheck or retirement going into it, I would open an account at the new bank, and preferably where neither of you have a relationship, and have your funds deposited directly to you. And this is not, I want to make that clear, not to hide anything, but to have your finances separately and safe for you.
Would you recommend someone move out of the family home?
Not unless there is abuse. As they say, possession is 9/10 of the law.
What about living expenses? If you do have to move out or they move out and you're there by yourself, how do you come up with the money to pay for those?
Once the divorce has been filed, you or your attorney can ask for temporary orders regarding custody, alimony, and child support, including monies for living expenses. That's another reason to gather all the documentation you can regarding household expenses. A judge is going to want proof of all these expenses.
And I've heard many people say they don't want to be the first one to file for divorce, that they feel like it makes them look bad in front of the judge. What do you think about that?
I disagree with that for the most part. If you are the first to file it, it can sometimes help to ensure assets are better protected through it's called ATRO, Automatic Temporary Restraining Order, as well as a few other benefits. I don't think it is looked at negatively by judges anymore, but it would depend on each judge, of course. I also want to mention something else. Either party can file a divorce in Georgia, but they have to be a resident for at least 6 months prior to filing the divorce. If you're not a legal resident, you must file in the state where you are a legal resident.
When do you think someone should hire an attorney?
They should hire an attorney as soon as possible, but this means you should take the time to interview, couple of attorneys to see who you are comfortable with. Divorce can be a very emotional, stressful time, and you don't want an attorney you're not comfortable with. I also recommend you look into going to a therapist.
And we mentioned this before with immigration attorneys, but price doesn't mean good or bad. So you could have a cheaper attorney that's great, and you could have a more expensive attorney that's horrible.
True.
So you want to ask around, get recommendations, and then see someone you're comfortable with. And then just to keep going along with documentation, I think we should mention the rules about recording conversations in Georgia.
Yes, in Georgia, each person being recorded, they must know about it and agree to any recording. So you can't record a phone call without the other person knowing.
And what happens if you do record it and they don't know or they didn't agree?
If you wanted to use it in court, you wouldn't be able to do so. So remember, we talked about alimony before. While you can be divorced for no reason or no fault in Georgia, there are also at-fault reasons for divorcing. Some cases have seen higher alimony awards with adultery or other at-fault reasons. But if you're trying to gather evidence of these misdeeds, I recommend any evidence is gathered with the advice from your attorney so that everything you have will be admissible in court.
Anything else you would recommend?
I also recommend that my clients get their own phones.
And why is that?
Well, often people are on family plans and your spouse could turn your phone off, or they can access texts and conversations that you may not want them to. So I think it's a good plan to start getting things set up in your name. And this is one that can protect you in the long run.
So it sounds like the number one thing is to protect yourself with documentation, documentation, documentation.
That's right. Thank you so much for joining us today again. And thank you for all your shares, comments, and likes. And we are always here to help. Hope to see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.